Dr. Upendra Baxi is a renowned legal scholar and the author of many insightful books. He is the Vice Chancellor of Delhi University from 1990 to 1994. Can I now invite Mr. Upendra Baxi to address the gathering?
मेरी हालात तो आखिरी बाजी होती है वर्ल्ड कप में 3-4 ओवर बचा है हरभजन भी गया है उसके बाद बैटिंग करके 5 रन में इंडिया को जिताने वाली होगी मैं ये नहीं कर पाऊंगा मगर कोशिश जरूर They are talking about open secrets which they pose in terms of threats to the idea of India and its civilizational unity. I've not read Arvindan before, but I know Rajiv specializes in giving us unpleasant facts. And I think he exceeds superbly here in this book. They are unpleasant, but they are facts. And the question is, how do we understand these facts? What narrative spin can we give to these facts? And what future significance we may invest to these facts? तो 3 S's, S से शब्द शुरू होता है गाथा में. One way to look at this book is to speak about subordination of India. Another way, another S with which you can read this book is surveillance of independence India. And yet another S is the subversion of independent India. And I think a reader has to move with these 3 shifts in meaning, or 3 locuses of meaning. In the Indian political context today, this book may be misread, and in fact misread so badly as to indeed lead to the breaking of India. This is a danger that I'm sure is present in the author's mind. So the kinds of arguments that are made, fully well supported, fully well rehearsed, fully well marshaled, may support almost each and every force of separatism in India today. Now the authors can't do very much about it. For the simple reason, as the famous French thinker Roland Barthes said once, that the birth of a reader marks the death of an author. In a sense, therefore, what they have produced is out of their intentional control. I know the intention and I appreciate it. The intention is to start a debate in a nation which only knows polemics. A nation in which the new gurus are 24/7 anchors, Arnab Goswami and Barkharat. In that situation, no dialogue is possible. Only possible remain antagonisms and hostility. And therefore I think it's very important for all of us, even as we salute this great achievement, to make sure that the message of the book is not misappropriated either by the Hindu right or the extreme left. If we don't do it, I'm sorry to say, this moment of release and book discussion might be archived as a rather sad moment in Indian future. Having said this, let me take a couple of minutes of the way in which I read, now as a one-eyed giant, your book. At first, I think there are two ways of reading it. One is to say that this book offers a story, a fascinating story of a gigantic conspiracy against India by foreign agents. Another way is to say, well, something less but more also, which is to, another way to read it is to say, look, this book is about Eurocentrism, that is a frame of mind which regards only the Euro and now American cultures and peoples as peoples of manifest destiny, that there is no history or future outside these thinkers and people. I think both the authors expose this second, bring to us the enormity of the second way of thought control or epistemic racism, if I might use a big word. Epistemic racism is racism in the very production of knowledge, belief, ideas and values. But there's a general stance in which knowledge and power combine to produce classification of human beings into superior and inferior. A story not entirely unknown to Hindu culture, of course. So I want to say, if the book is to be read as a huge conspiracy against India, and we name, as you do, several institutions and auspices and individuals and movements as the arch villains of this conspiracy, I remain worried, Rajiv and Arvind, about the place of freedom of speech and expression and plurality of opinion in this conspiracy kind of reading. Not all scholars in United States, nor all scholars in Europe, not all Indologists, nor all Indian scholars here or abroad are co-conspirators against India. And your book shows, because you draw on the progressive scholarship, you refer to all kinds of people who have spoken in a different voice to support your thesis about imperialism in knowledge. But that imperialism in knowledge has been doubted by those very people who enable you to speak about that. The Indian Constitution is not merely an extension of 1935 Act. It's a great step towards freedom. That very Constitution provides for basic human rights. One of them is the right to freedom of conscience and religion. No doubt that right is subjected to restrictions on the ground of morality, health and public order. I've always wondered, incidentally, what morality can regulate my conscience, but I will not go there just now. It's not the time or occasion place for it. Following the power of the state to restrict religion practices, even the Indian Supreme Court has sustained several state legislations, not merely prohibiting but penalizing conversion by fraud and force. I'm not, unfortunately, a religious person at all. But if I were a member of a proselytizing religion, a religion that seeks to convert other people to your faith. And if I, as a preacher of that religion, said, if you don't follow my Lord, you shall suffer eternal damnation in hell. Is this false? Or is this fraud? Or is this just a practice of religion? Are we going to say that in India, no evangelism should be allowed? If we say that, we belittle the idea of India. We make it a Hindutva India, which many people want it to become. But that was not what we fought, the imperialists, in our freedom struggle for. We fought for a more inclusive idea of India. And the authors appreciate this. So therefore, I'm saying force and fraud have actually been used by Hindutva cadres in converting or reconverting. That is, who either adopted Islam or Christianity. And yet there is no legislation prohibiting reconversion. I think we have to be, if we talk about Indian civilization with C capital, we have to go above the passion and the fury of partisan politics. And I think reading this book as a constitutional, a law teacher, I'm only a teacher, what else can I be, can you think? As a teacher of constitutional law and human rights, I think we have to read this book not as advocating any abrogation or limitation on basic human rights and fundamental freedoms, but finding ways of culturally capacious, large-hearted accommodation of different faiths. And because I read this book this way, I really admire your contribution.